Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for us to get into the news review. Mary Poppins and yours truly will be doing this shortly. But right before we get into it, let's acknowledge our sponsors, those who help us bring you this every weekday morning. I'm talking about none other than Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, they're offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. You know where to go. But if you don't, let me remind you. Here in Accra, Spintex. Opposite the Shell signboard, that's where they can be located. In Kumasi, Chronom Abuehia, behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Energy Estate, there's Tema Community 22, there's Techiman Hanswa and Siamanzima. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Before I bring in our guests, I'm going to rant for about a minute, though my blunt thoughts are later. Mr. President, the governing New Patriotic Party, Bonebeng and Agana Flyem. Yesterday we had the national dialogue on energy and everything in between. I slept in darkness. I had my bath twice last night. Unfortunately, I'm one of those people who suffers, one of those. I suffer from what you would call hyperhidrosis. I perspire a lot. I sweat a lot, even on the scalp of my head. It is irritable when there's no power. I had to have, in fact, I spent a long time on a huge balcony just trying to cool down. Still, the mosquitoes were also feasting on me there. So I had to come inside. And it was simply unbearable. Why? I had to do gymnastics to get my shirt ironed this morning. And when I came to work, guess what? I heard the brrr, meaning Charlie. Them do the thing for here too. Hey! And when you mention it, I'm sorry, you'll have some asinine personalities come and tell you there is no doomsday. So this one, you'll be waiting. You'll be waiting. You know, Ajo Brown, I'm on air, I'm on TV. But I think sometimes we ought to get really radical with some of the stupidity going on in our country. Because when something goes on and you can't even look us in the face and tell us the truth, whether it is generational problem, whether it is gas that you cannot purchase, whether it's a financial problem, whether it is transformers or transmitters or whatever it is, what is the reality of the ordinary man out there? God have mercy on Ghana. Sweetie Abochi, did you have light?
Not, well, when I got home yesterday, there was no light. It came on around 7 p.m. So from 7 p.m. I had light. I couldn't do anything when I got home because my phones were off, my laptop was dry. But Ben, I feel your pain.
I'm getting sick and tired of this,
It
honestly.
shall be well.
There's
a lot of talk about privatization.
In civilized democracies, they make things well. Here, we like to do,
whitewash, yeah.
It's like Manifest said, debi, and so debi, beba, da bang.
I feel your
We
pain.
have everything in this country. Yesterday, I was having a discussion with somebody and the flight of, professionals. And this person had gone into a certain private, just before we go to our guest, a certain private university because of creative thinking and the rest, because the father felt, we need more of that and we should stay in the country. But I tell you, if you really want to impact not just you and your family, your nucleus, but many people, it probably makes sense to go travel to other parts of the world, make some good money, come and invest that money in Ghana. That I agree with. Then you are helping your family when you are there, the remittances. Ghana thrives on that. And you are also able to set up something here and create jobs for. Without that, look, me, the skill set I have, even with my linguistic tool set, I mean, that would have been, here everything is like, please bring in our guest.
Right. That was a good note to start. What did you say? Ben, breathe. Everything will be fine. Today, the national youth organizer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Salam Mustafa, is our guest for the news review segment. Mustafa Salam, welcome to the program. How are you feeling this morning? I think you have to unmute.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thanks.
So
All right,
I don't
great,
know
great.
if you want to comment on anything, maybe following in Ben's rant about this power issue or any other topical issue that you'd like to respond to. Let's do that in just like 30 seconds and then we get into the newspapers.
Absolutely. First and foremost, let me say good morning to you and your viewers across the world. I can understand the frustration. I don't think that there's any way to justify me as a Ghanaian living in this country. When I also get home and I don't have light, I feel the same way. So I can understand the frustration. I have engaged severally the authorities trying to understand what's going on, because on the ground, a lot of these things come up, and amply I have the assurances of the highest officers that a lot is being done behind the scenes to rectify the situation. It is not just for electoral gains, but for every thriving economy, energy is very, very crucial. And I think that for a party that is center, that's right of center, we are more business inclined, and therefore we understand the ramifications of unstable power. So I can understand the frustrations of my friends, my contemporaries, and everybody else in the country. But I am quite convicted that this matter will also be dealt with, like we have dealt with so many of the challenges that we have faced as a nation over a period of time.
Right. Thank you for that. It's just taking a while. It's taking too long for us to just deal with this thing
I
head
can
on.
understand that.
Yeah.
It is very, very discomforting. I can absolutely understand that. It is very, very discomforting. Regardless of who you are, I mean, babies, elderly, young people, the reaction is the same.
Anyway.
So I feel it, and I can tell you that I every time empathize with everybody else, feeling the same way. Look, in my area, I don't have a genset in my home, and when the lights goes off and I'm standing outside, I see my neighbors as well, and I mean I can feel the same way they feel, and I'm sure that so many other people in higher places also, take the same position that I have,
right.
Not to have a genset,
right.
and they feel the same way that we all feel.
Okay, let's get into the newspapers. I just like to stay optimistic, but let's see how long that
I'm always
lasts.
an optimist. I'm always an optimist.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's get into the newspapers. Let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. On the front page, the headlines are New Train Crashes. Pineapple has potential. Pay attention to the crop. That is a legal practitioner in treating government. $300 million Cassius mining dispute. Laws of Ghana must apply. That is International Arbitration Tribunal rules. Asokwa Industrial Hub of Kumasi. Let's start with the story of the $300 million Cassius mining dispute. The story reads, the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, Netherlands, has ruled that the laws of Ghana shall apply to an international arbitration instituted by Australian mining company, Cassius Mining Company, against government of Ghana. Cassius is seeking about $300 million in damages with a claim that the government of Ghana breached its contractual obligations and the laws of the country by not reviewing its prospecting license to enable it to engage in mining in the country. Ruling on the preliminary issues, the tribunal held that the seat of the international arbitration ought to be Accra, Ghana, and not London, the United Kingdom, as argued by Cassius Mining. Do you want to do any quick reactions to this story before I come back to Benjamin?
Yes. I mean, Ghana is a sovereign state, and our resources belong to the state of Ghana in trust by government on behalf for the people, its usage, its exploitation must be to the benefit of Ghanaians. And I've said time without number that how we have used our extractive resources, for example, over the last 100 years or so, hasn't really inured to the benefit of Ghana. And it is about time that we developed our own capacity, have the balls to take on exploitative entities who want to take us for granted. And I take this nationalistic position on every other sector, that if there is a way we can nationalize our resources, let's do it. Almost every country is doing so. When you go to Australia, South Africa and other countries, they try to nationalize their, especially extractive resources, because really that is the God-given gift to the nation to use to develop. So over the years, how we have treated our extractive resources really leaves much to be desired. And I'm happy that some of these things we have had the balls to, stand up to, if you like, in quotes, some bullies who think that we are just a third world country, we can ravage, over them and exploit them. The days of exploitation is over. One lesson that COVID has really taught all of us as a universe is that every country is independent. In fact, has the potential to be independent, because when COVID hit, we were now producing our own nose mask. We're now producing our own what do you call it? Sanitizers, and other essentials. In fact, even drugs. Today, some of our big pharmaceuticals are producing right here in Ghana. So it's a big boost for us. And I think that we should continue on this path, and we'll make progress as a nation.
Okay. Ben, shall we get into it?
I'm waiting for you to do the story about the trains.
Okay, then you get into that. But I just want to add that, Godfred, the Attorney General is the one leading this, and he's objecting to their claim, saying that, if anything, the arbitration should be held here in Accra, Ghana, and not in the UK. Those are just some details of the story.
Well, I mean, we followed that. Let's just hope that we're able to triumph the full haul of that and move the country forward. That's it.
Right. So new train crashes. That's a very interesting one. And when I saw the picture, I saw a car. Let me get into the story first. So the new train procured to operate commercial. The print here is not as clear as. The train collided with a stationary where a section of the tracks described as, I can't read it. The print is not very detailed. But we know the story about the new trains that I think was a trial run. And there was a tractor that had been parked across the railway. And so the train didn't see it and just crashed into it.
Well, I guess it could be the system it is operating with, whatever the case may be. But my question is, in this country, we are hopelessly inefficient and ineffective. What sort of training, it's a test run, had those who were in the train had? Is it just a transition from those who were running the older, trains that were, there must have been some preparation, but to what extent were they prepared for this? And how, for the life of me, you are conducting a test run, and there is a tractor parked across some part of the stretch. This country, I mean, we talk about incompetence, but some things happen. And if you go into this, value for money, trace it down, Poland, getting these into the system, so-called
waste.
Obia Penisike, it's fine. We've brought them into the country. What we'll benefit from in the country too, we are so inefficient that we go and let it crash. And now, who is going to bear the cost of whatever work may be done on it?
You and I,
the ordinary taxpayer. The incompetence in this country stinks to the high heavens. That's all I'll say.
Mustafa Salam.
Yeah. Well, I will really deviate a little bit. Yes, it can. I cannot speak for the railway authority. I wasn't there. I'm on tour in the Ashanti region. I got somewhere around Ejura when I started getting images through WhatsApp and from other groups. I started reading what had happened. Then later on, I think I went on social media and got a full detail. Subsequently, I have seen releases from the railway authority, I think the ministry as well as the police. And if you read the accounts, I have also seen videos. There are videos on social media. Kofi TV posted a video post the accident. Why I deviate a little bit from my friend's narrative is that, yes, we may have expected maybe the railway authority to maybe double check their tracks. What if they did? Like I'm saying, we're all not there. What if they did and were sure that the tracks were good to go? If you saw what happened, it was a Kia truck, not a tractor. It was a Kia truck that was packed right across the track. So the person came horizontally, and packed, in fact, vertically and packed on the horizontal track and packed in the middle, got down and went away. So you can see that it was complete, act of, sabotage. It was quite deliberate.
Salam Mustafa, hold for me. Hold for me.
Miles away.
Hold for me. An act of sabotage. It could be. It could be an act of sabotage, right? It could be.
It could be.
So the driver didn't see it. What were there faults with the train? Were there faults with the training? Hold on. You said you were not there. Hold on. Were there faults with the train? Were there faults with the training the drivers had been given? Mind you, these are a different set of trains. No two trains are exactly the same, even when they are coming from the same manufacturer. And you are telling me that we're going to use a stretch. We knew that was the stretch the train would use. And we couldn't clear the entirety of the stretch to the point where the train would move from point A to point B. We couldn't do that. And
that's
the explanation is sabotage.
Myself and you were.
What kind of thinking is this?
I'm coming. Hold on. Myself and you were not there. If the railway authority checked their track and it was cleared, and in between, if the person deliberately, and the word is deliberate, came and packed the Kia truck, it's a Kia truck, not a tractor. So it beats my imagination why a very sane person with reason would try to cross a railway track.
You should be asking yourself, Salam Mustafa, you should be asking yourself, we've not had a rail system running. That's the reality. Yes. I have seen, there are some places here in Accra where sometimes you would have, for example, the Jowulu area. There's a rail. Yes. When you go to airport, there's another one passing through at a point. These things are there. People know that trains don't usually pass by. It could also be that this person, for whatever reason, may have felt that, it is not the right thing to do, but it happens. But wait, your explanation is that, so it wasn't expected that this person could come and do this. What you do, what a reasonable person does, when you know you are going to conduct a test run, you ensure that the entirety of the stretch is protected, that there is nothing crossing, especially when you're using a brand new train, you are test driving, anything could happen, and you've invested taxpayers' money in that. Does that not make sense to you, Salam Mustafa? Does that not make sense to you?
Well, it makes sense to me, but you are also being definite. And I'm saying that myself and you were not there. If the railway authority cleared their tracks, and in between, and the word again is deliberate, somebody goes to pack on the way. There's no way they would know. I have seen pictures. If you saw the first picture that came out, clearly the driver of the train, upon seeing, I think he negotiated a curve, and upon appearing from the curve, saw that the Kia truck was parked. So, I mean, we know that it takes time for these locomotives to, get their brakes fully, deployed and stop at an instance. I've seen so many documentaries of train derailments and so on and so forth. So clearly, if they negotiated a curve and came out and noticed that something was in between, the tracks, and it took the train some time to stop, it is difficult to understand the motive of the person who parked, and that is why we should wait for the police to finish with the investigation. I understand that
we've waited,
the police have arrested.
We've been waiting. That's what happens. That's what happens in this country. Wait for investigations,
but this is a very
and nothing
serious
happens,
matter.
and then we are waiting, and then we are waiting. But, we just have to move on because...
You're right. It's a very serious matter. It's a very serious matter of incompetence.
It's a very serious matter.
It's a very serious matter of whatever.
Of
it could be sabotage, but it's also a very serious matter of incompetence. Yes. You can't tell me that if you were in private enterprise, if you were a private investor...
It is okay to demand...
Salam, if you were a private investor, would you allow this to happen? If you were a private investor, if that were your train, personal train, would you not ensure that every way of the stretch had been protected?
Let's move on.
That's what we should ask.
That's what I'm saying.
Very reason...
If I'm going out with my car, probably I'll check and see if my brakes are okay, my water level is okay, my oil level is okay. But in between, when I leave and I'm driving, I may not have control of external things that happen outside the car. That's exactly what I'm saying. And I'm saying that the police is investigating the matter. The person has been arrested. Let's understand the motive first. Let's understand the circumstances under which the car was parked right in the path of the train. Then we can make a conclusive determination whether it was a matter of competence or not.
We've heard you. Let's just get into the rest of the newspapers because we just wait for that. Yes. Kingston appointed Black Stars Starlet head coach. GFA boss calls for prioritization of youth development. Gusa applauds Yeboah others for African Games. Koforidua Prison's Health Center receives support from some ASA savings. Still on the daily graphic, just doing some more quick headlines, and then we move on to the Ghanaian Times. U.S. announces new sanctions on Iran after missile attack. And Burkina Faso expels Burkina Faso expels 3 French diplomats. All that in the daily graphic. So pick a copy for yourself and get into these stories. Now, on the Ghanaian Times newspaper, on the front page, election alert. Cybersecurity Authority engages tech providers to counter misinformation powered by AI. 30% media outlets collapse due to financial constraints. That's according to the minister, Fatima Abubakar. 609 die in road crashes first quarter of 2024. Mr. David Osafo-Adonting saying that. Ghana wins preliminary ruling in Cassius mining case. That is the $300 million international arbitration led by Godfred Daming. OSP files fresh charges against former PPA boss. And Mustafa, you can let me know which of these stories you want to react to quickly, and then we get into the story, and then we can move on to other papers. Election alert, Cybersecurity Authority engages tech providers to counter misinformation powered by AI. I must have been born with a piece of charcoal in my hand. I think this is just an editorial. Any of these stories you want us to get into so that we can do that quickly before we move on?
Yes, this disinformation matter.
Right.
It's a very serious matter.
Okay, just hold for me. Let me bring our audience up to speed. So it reads, the Cybersecurity Authority has cautioned the public to be wary of election misinformation and disinformation targeted at flowing this year's general elections. Director General of the CSA, Dr. Albert Intri-Bosiako, said the authority was anticipating the deployment of disinformation and misinformation campaigns powered by artificial intelligence, especially on social media, to influence the decision of voters. In this regard, he noted that the CSA was engaged in social media platforms, including Facebook and X, formerly known as Twitter, to roll out mechanisms to detect and prevent them from going viral. First of all, Okay, let me get your reactions from this, and then we can move on.
Yeah, this disinformation matter is a very serious matter. You know, I'm sure you remember that in the United States, there was this probe on Russia meddling with American elections. The charge was that they did not physically get involved in manipulating the results, but the level of misinformation and disinformation was quite noticeable and led to the outcome of the results as the Congress might have believed. So it is very, very important that we place a lot of attention on disinformation. Look, when you go on social media, some of the things that are crafted, you know, and circulated is quite frightening. And for me, us as a people, our sociocultural cohesion, the security of our state, if we are not cautious and deal with disinformation, one day we'll be there and someone will create a very big problem for us, because we will create something and throw into the system that is completely false and might ignite a certain fire that we have absolutely no control over. So I think that it is crucial that we really deal with disinformation. And you see, faceless persons, I know situations, there's this precarious situation in the Upper East region where someone they believe lives across the border, does audios all the time, inciting, making tribal, inciting, audio tapes and throwing them across into the border in Ghana around the Boku area and finding ethnic conflict there. So the cyber security, agency, all of these things, we need to really, find a way to have some grasp over it. Look, some months back, I was there and I started getting a lot of calls and WhatsApp messages and I was sent an artwork of something purportedly I had said, which I never said. That Christians had dominated over Muslims for a very long time. It was time Muslims rose up, and also, I can't remember the exact context, but it was false. I never said that anywhere.
All right.
But it was hung on me.
Salam, we need to get into
this.
other papers now.
Yes.
Your point is made. Thank you. Benjamin.
Well, let's quickly get into other papers. Daily Guide newspaper, the Cassius case is there. Ghana's debt surged under NDC. Dr. Bano says so. There's Edwajiri, Zango chiefs pledge allegiance to Achihini. And Otumfuo fights for private sector. Let me quickly get into two of those stories. Page 3, and it says, policy think tank Dankwa Institute has stated that the ruling New Patriotic Party record in governance has always resulted in superior debt management than the opposition NDC. According to the institute, Ghana's debt climbed to 29.2 billion between 2009 and 2016, representing 261.83% growth in total public debt stock under the NDC, greatly exceeding the debt stock recorded under the MPP administration. This kind of talk is so loose that sometimes I don't even want to get into it. So let's assume all these facts and figures. Of course, the Dankwa Institute is aligned. So let me also speak to it from that angle, because they are aligned. What has been the debt stock under the MPP? How much have we added on? And if someone did the wrong thing, please, I'm making a point, Salam. If someone did the wrong thing, does it make sense to come and do the same thing? I'm putting this question out there to Ghanaians, not necessarily you, but you can respond to it. Then I'll go to page. I am a bit upset this morning, I admit. Especially because of the power outage and everything.
This morning you are fired
up.
up.
Upset, and I am upset at the sheer stupidity that we exhibit in different facets of our national life. And yet, because of partisanship, we allow it to go on, because I am NDC, me NDC me. I am MPP, me MPP me. It's nonsensical. The country is sinking. How long will we keep on doing these things? How long? I'll do the other story and then you can react to it. OSP files new charges against ex-PPA boss. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has filed a new charge sheet against the dismissed former Chief Executive Officer of the Public Procurement Authority, Ejenim Boateng Ejay, who is accused of using public office for profit. And it goes on with the new charge sheet. We all know the story. Only in this country, certain things happen. Nothing to show. If you have quick reactions, we have 2 minutes to go. Quick reaction, then I'll go to the Find a newspaper and wrap there. Salam.
Yeah, Ben, I can understand that you are upset this morning. But please have the best of assurances that we are not a nation, in a banana nation. I'm sure we'll get our acts right. On the issue of the OSP and Ejenim Ejay, I think that it is in the right direction. For me, I would never stop any case that borders on corruption. Just a few days ago, I think sometime this week, there was this mass law case, right? In the direction that we want. If the OSP, the Attorney General, can also, pursue this matter to its logical conclusion, it should be done. Regardless of who you are, nobody's ox is God. Corruption is corruption. It should be fought as hard as it can. I say all the time that these countries that have made progress, that, have seen, leapfrogging from a third world to now, a developed, country, they didn't do so by accident. It's by dint of hard work, which we can do. We have the resources, we have the manpower, we have the ability to. Some of these things are the things, really stopping us. Public officers being corrupt, not putting money in the right investments and so on and so forth. So I think that we are fully behind the system to pursue some of these cases and get to its logical conclusion. It should serve as a deterrent to all of us who are in the public space, that when you are put in positions of trust, authority, you don't use it for your personal gain, but rather to the gain of the entire nation, for the people.
Thank you, Salam. We really have to go.
Are in office to do.
The New Finder newspaper, motorcycles killed 931 out of 2,276 road crash fatalities in 2023. So that's almost 1,000. It means 1,276 from all others, and motorcycles alone killing 931. That's all I will do from the papers I have.
No, that's
else?
it.
Final words, Salam Mustafa. We have 30 seconds to go. Our time is practically up.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity this morning to spend time with you on this very big platform. But I can appreciate the anger this morning. It's not just you. And I am as passionate as you are about a lot of the things that happen in our nation. I said time without number. I don't hold the citizenship or even permanent residence of any other country than Ghana. And I don't have any intentions of living in any other country than Ghana. So I want the very best for this country. I want a country that thrives, a country that opens opportunities for its people, a country that is working. And that is why I believe in leadership. The countries that we have seen doing well, it is not by accident. Angels didn't come down to do that for these countries. Human beings did, and did so by building systems. We should look for leaders that build systems. It's systems that will let us get the kind of results that we want. And I'm sure that with the right leader in place, we are going to, be able to make a serious progress. And I believe that Dr. Baumia is the right leader for the next chapter.
We just
Salam
talked about
Mustafa, International Youth Organizer
politicizing
of the governing New Patriotic Party. He joined the
You guys have a nice
conversation
day. I appreciate it. Have a nice day.
You do same. The title of my blunt thoughts, which I'll be sharing with you right up next, after sports, or that is maybe before sports. The privatization conundrum, things to consider. The privatization conundrum, things to consider. You want to stay for that. But before we go, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us bring you this segment. They're offering prostate screening for free if you're a man, fertility screening for free if you're a woman. Reach out to them at any of their branches. And here in Accra, at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronomo Abwe here, behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrady Anaji State, Tema Committee 22, Techiman Hanso and Esiaman Zama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. We'll be right back.